This is the ghost cube, which has every single piece is a unique shape, and so you're solving based on shape rather than position. But it's still a 3x3. And then there's things like this, which is the Oscar van Deventer sphere gear, which is really interesting to look at, really interesting to turn, but trivially easy to solve. No one's buying that because they want the experience of solving the puzzle. They're buying it because they think it looks cool on their shelf.
There we go. Deeper and deeper, huh? It was one of the ones I downvoted.
Yeah, that's not a
great.
real.
There's only like... There was like one good one and like 3 okay ones and mostly trash.
Well, I mean,
They need. I was saying this to Marcus the other day. They really need to like remove democracy from Ludum.
Yeah, it always seems just like
The same ones pop over.
Things get picked.
Yeah, it's because it's like the blockbuster movie effect, right? Like,
Yeah,
it's only the most, you know,
generic.
yeah, only the thing that almost anyone could get on board with, which is disappointing as all hell. There are lots of other smaller game jams doing cool stuff, but they're, you know. Actually, I probably would enjoy a smaller game jam better, to be 100% honest.
Yeah, I had considered that too.
I will say one thing right off the bat. You know, the first thing, there's going to be a lot of going down into caves forever and going underwater type games.
Yeah.
And that's fine, like, because for a first Unity game, underwater's not bad, right? I don't actually even need to learn billboarding necessarily, although I don't know, other than for the GUI, then what we would use like the, you know, your art for. I guess, although actually, if you wanted to try and fucking do a 3D model of a fucking submarine, how hard do you, or something like that, like, would you be down to try and do something like that? Because if not, I could just make it out of polygons.
I don't know how successful I'd be, but I could give it a try. I don't know how long it would take. Also that.
Yeah. I mean, you have that nice tablet now. Is that a tablet that is, you know, specific to, you know, 2D drawing or anything, or a specific?
I don't know how much help it would be with 3D modeling.
I don't know. Whenever I see people who, you know, I see people who are game designers giving Blender tutorials. And then I see people who are just Blender artists giving Blender tutorials, and they do it all with a pad. Although it might be even honestly harder to learn with a pad at first, because,
you know,
I will say, yeah, that is one of the themes that that's like the big upshot, is that it's definitely something I would be, that works well with Unity if we did want to do like a game where you're going underwater in a submarine for any reason. And you know, high concept mechanics are not something I can do yet in Unity, so it will be almost freeing in a way to just make something that is barely functional in some way. No,
maybe we make a historical game and it's about the Voyager probe.
The Voyager probe?
Yeah.
That's a space thing, but that would be... is that a space thing? That must
Yeah.
be.
It's like the thing they sent with the gold record that has, like... They just shot it out into space and are like, hey, maybe aliens will find
Yeah,
us
okay, with the
someday.
Carl Sagan recordings on it and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
The only thing about that is, what is that? Did you just get there from submarine mechanics and forget about deeper and deeper? Because, like, what's the...
Going
Deeper and deeper into space, I guess, yeah. I just think of that as up, though. That's up, Jeff.
It's out.
It's out. Deeper out. There could be some fun, like, that's not a terrible idea. Like, I actually think, like, if you wanted to tell a short story, like, do you remember that, nothing big, just like square roots, like when we made square roots.
Mm-hmm.
A very simple story like that.
Hey guys, my name is Tom, and in this tutorial we're going to talk about how to set up dynamic water physics in Unity. Over the last few months, several people have commented on my devlogs asking me how my ship's buoyancy system works. The very basics would only take a few sentences to explain, so instead of making an extremely short video about it, I figured I might as well turn it into a tutorial. Before we jump into it, I want to quickly go over the theory behind the system we're about to set up.
Here's a 10-minute Unity tutorial on how to do this. Oh, did I not? There's a 10-minute tutorial in there on how to do, like, above water physics. Let's see if I can find outer space. Maybe. I don't know. The more I look at this,
Entirety of the floating object submerged. See how that affects the results. However, there's one more very important thing which I forgot. Since we're manually applying gravity in our buoyancy code, we should realistic looking wave formations. Simulate pretty large planes of in the mesh, my frames jump up to about 1100. A gain of 300 FPS is pretty huge, especially considering how little area these objects are covering. In my own project, I don't manipulate vertices on the CPU. Instead, I do it on the GPU by using a shader, which allows me to simulate pretty large planes of water with a very small impact on performance.
Alright. So, you're an alien who snuck on Voyager, get back home, and you're secretly steering it back to your planet, and you have to intercept radio signals from Earth that try to put the satellite back on course.
what mechanically are the signals?
I don't know. Just shit flying at you or something.
What if the signals... What if the signals... Or what if,
Or there's some sort of like, I don't know, hacking minigame you have to go into every
I was
once in a while?
thinking-
I don't know.
I was thinking something like Outer Wilds, where you're, you know, it's sort of like tuning the antennas on a fucking old television, right? Like
Yeah.
you're adjusting some sort of gadget or gizmo, or even your position, until something comes into view. But I feel like my only issue with that is like, or my only issue with the main thing I'm struggling with right now is like, you know, if the that's a game like theoretically, we could explain the reason why that's deeper and deeper, but there's nothing mechanically. If all you're doing is like moving around in space to tune to tune an invisible, thing to find a signal, it's more like, you're going to a I was thinking. So, did you see the water physics tutorial that I put in the
I watched like a third of it.
Okay, well, you see what it looks like. That's all you really need.
Yeah.
I thought about, what about a game where if I can figure out how to get the water mesh thing to work to do pretty big good waves, which we'll fucking see, because the very end of the tutorial is like, by the way, this will only work on a small scale. Like, to make this work like mine is working, you have to write a shader and run it off of your GPU, not your CPU, in order to get this to have a very large plane of water. So until I heard that, what I was thinking was, okay, I'll just make a big world with a big ocean and, some rocks sticking up out of it, maybe some places to stop, and basically just like, there's a storm on the horizon, you're going deeper and deeper into the storm, the waves are getting more and more intense, and then we do a little narrative to go along with it that I figured you and Dave could figure out what it was, and what the end was. But like, that's a real simple first Unity project that I think I could pull off. I would probably want, Marcus's. If Marcus was in here, it would be a lot. I'd be a lot more confident, because I think he could figure this stuff out. Like, I'm,
Bits.
yeah, like he's better at figuring that. He's quicker at learning these sorts of things. I just do it way more.
Yeah.
But he's definitely quicker at figuring out how to use the tools than I am. Which is why I wish you would damn answer. I'm not married to that idea by any means, but it does have to be relatively simple. But honestly, the going out into space, riding, an alien riding it back out into space thing is definitely simpler to program, right? Because all we need is a skybox, and then you press a button and we move things in and out of your field of what you can interact with and whatnot. The only difficult thing with that would be maybe like visually representing the alien. Like, do we model him? It would look weird if you're like
flat guy on a
or unless
skin.
like, how big it was Voyager? Not that this game has to be fucking that historically accurate, but like,
I don't know. I think like the size of a small car, maybe.
Okay, so that's not too bad then. I mean, we could just make it first person, do some little green alien hands. That might be easier, honestly. My only complaint with it is the mechanic isn't like we need a mechanic to go along with that was more in line with the deeper and deeper. I think.
Well, Dave knows the theme now. He's guy who comes up with good game ideas.
Yes, he does. But Dave's are all like high concept, highfalutin idea. I've been very proud of how restrained Dave has been on Stealth Kill City.
I agree.
Right? Like he's like this is we just
being
need to,
a real rational guy.
Yeah, he's like pulling the reins back all the time. He's like, we just need to do this and this and this, and this is the whole scope of the game, and we shouldn't think of anything outside of that right now. And it's like the tables have flipped. Now I want to think of a bigger scope, and he's like, no, this is like.
I think his thing is like he's been burned a couple times. Like, we're gonna make this game, and then it peters out. Like
Yeah.
he just wants to make a
something.
game.
Yeah.
So now he's just like, no, we're just doing this.
Yes.
Just finishing a game.
Yeah. Yes.
You've broken Dave.
Yes, I did kind of. Well, now he knows the pain of it. It legitimately is like the central, like, if there was a movie about my life, it would be about never finishing. Like my conflict, or my central conflict arc for my character would literally be never finishing anything, like quitting everything halfway through.
Yeah. Same.
But it wouldn't be like in the movies where like it's because I'm not confident, and if I just was confident enough, I could blah blah blah. It would be it's a much more boring thing. Yeah, of like, yeah, I just don't. Not even I get bored. It's just something else grabs my attention. Like I just have ADD. Like there's something else that's like. This is.
Trying to think of a third option. Like that space thing. That was just my first idea.
It's not a bad
commit to that.
idea, and I would be on board with it. As you know, I'm down for doing anything. Like right now, I'm just trying to think of. You know, this is it's the way opposite of when I'm doing it with Game Maker, because I'm very confident in my Game Maker ability to do whatever I want to do in 2D, but like, I'm basically just thinking what is doable for me in 3D right now, and so I'm going through a bunch of tutorials. Here's another one. I don't know if this looks kind of tougher, but I'll throw it in the Discord anyway. It's another water one. There are much fewer like you know, flying through space tutorials than I thought there would be for Unity. Although maybe it's just so easy that they just, you know, no one bothered to make a tutorial for it.
Yeah, I mean it's like just zero gravity physics. There's nothing you have to like program against. I don't know. I don't know what the.
You could we could use physics and just set the gravity to, you know, 0.
Yeah.
That actually might be a pretty interesting game. I could see having fun with physics. Let's try Unity Space Physics Tutorial. How to simulate gravity in Unity.
In there, I had a gravity simulation in
Oh, thank
Unity,
God, it's
and a lot of you
Brackeys.
guys were
Why
asking
did you
for
quit
tutorials.
Brackeys?
In this video, we'll have a look at how you can implement Newton's
Your
universal
videos
law
are
of
so much
gravity
better
in
made
Unity.
than
And of course, if you
everyone's.
want to know more about the theory behind it, you can check out the other video. So let's get into it. So here's a basic scene with a camera, some lights, and a planet. I got the model of the
Okay,
asset
I
store,
need
and the
to
same
know
thing for the
about this guy's
skybox.
daily
I'll have a link for
routine.
both in the description.
What's that?
I'm glad this guy is giving me his daily routine before he tells me how to program water.
I didn't even
It's
listen
like-
to it. I just saw it.
Oh,
What it
well,
was.
but not-
We have a mesh filter and a
gym.
mesh renderer. Let's go ahead and add
So I
a
decided to
sphere collider
program
as well.
some
We'll
water.
also add a new component. This is going to be a custom script method called attract. This method is where the magic happens. Now attraction happens but we need the object's body component. Now what we need to do is just make sure that every attractor has a rigid body component. Set the mass to something like 1000. And of course this will also totally depend on the scale of your scene. My planet is fairly big compared to the standard Unity sphere.
Oh,
that's why
at
I'm kinda
12:30
bumming
he
up
got
on this.
hungry and
We
made
now
some
go
pasta
into Visual
carbonara.
Studio, and we can now access our
He woke up late today. He's happy about it.
It could, you know, the physics. It could be just like this is a game, literally just like a Kerbal type game. Like you're just fucking setting your thrust or your rockets at certain times to catch gravity of.
mass. We can also access the
You know, like we could do, you know, actual physics make the spacecraft and set it in motion around a planet, and then it's like about jumping from that planet's gravity to the moon's gravity and using that to slingshot yourself to something else, and then you're just getting further and further away from Earth until you can get back to your alien
I like
home.
that.
If I could do that, I'm
Rigid body of the object
I
that we
don't
try to
know
attract.
how hard.
Let's store that in a variable of
so
I think that's
are
like a
type
fine
rigid
thing.
body.
It's just like timing and.
So this tutorial is rigid body based, so it is physics based, and they're talking about attractions between bodies. I think that would be useful if we did that idea.
Let's call it the RB to attract. And we can just set it equal to obj to attract.rb. And now we're ready to be happening at a much quicker rate. Awesome! There's really not much more to it. Using just the system we have now, we can start messing around with planets' masses and adding other forces to say make a planet orbit another. Let's just for fun take our second planet here and scale it up a bit, and let's just increase the mass here by a factor 10. If we now hit play, we should see that all the other planets would get drawn towards this one fairly quickly. Now, in case you want to have huge amounts of planets, I definitely recommend that you optimize it a little bit. A way to do this is to avoid searching for other attractors.
And
each
like,
fixed object
you
call.
know,
Instead,
in terms of visually, what this will like look like as your I'm not going to use Blender, Goofy King, but Jeff might. Jeff might use Blender.
I may.
You might. So like you could do it like although this sort of goes against the theme of like you're starting from Earth and getting away from it, but like, or maybe it's the opposite. Okay, I was gonna say, you know, in the mechanics of making a space game, right? What would it look like as you're going further or deeper and deeper into the universe? It would look like either like this way I'm about to describe it, or in reverse. It would be like you start at the atom, right, and then you slingshot your way out of the atom to another. So basically, in the beginning, everything would be clustered together, and it's easy to slingshot your way out of it. And as you get further and further out, right, there's less and less things for you to slingshot yourself to. Or it's the other way around.
You could look at it the other way, where you're sort of like opening up the world, and like you're sort of zooming out, and things appear closer together.
Zooming out and things appear closer together. Yeah.
You know what
I think so. So like,
but it would make more sense in a gamey way for things to be farther apart, to make it harder as you progress.
that's true. It does. And I think it also just works with the theme, right? It's going to feel more and more like you're getting.
Yeah, that's true.
Although maybe deeper and deeper is actually the opposite, though. But because like when I think of it that way, then I do think of it as farther and farther, right? When I think of it of moving away from clusters of things to, you know, everything and disappearing and everything getting super far away from each other until you're just the only thing left in the universe, that visualization makes me think of that the opposite of deeper and deeper. If you flipped that on its head, it would be deeper and deeper, but you're right, game-wise, that does not make sense. Maybe it is just better to do it like in a designed way with the narrative of the alien trying to get out into the solar system, and then like I could try and design a little solar system with that actual physics, which would be fun because like, you know, you could break it, right? If you run into these planets, this it shouldn't really work this way, but maybe it will for the game. If you crash if there's no fail state, right? The only fail state is like your stuck in an orbit. Then it's basically a simulation. If you tap into anything, it will have sensitive dependence on initial conditions, right? Like whatever, like it'll be my end, you know, whatever happens 10 minutes from when I start is going to look way different from 10 minutes when you started, if all these things are like rotating around each other and interacting with each other. So if I just happen to tap the planet with the left side of my ship in the beginning and you just go straight, what's happening in our universes in 10 minutes might not look anything like each other. So it might just be a game where eventually the simulation falls apart and you just win. Found a good like Newtonian physics orbit tutorial, I think.
To put the trail material, so the one that's going to create the trails behind you.
What's that?
I'm looking at it right now. Is it the thing you posted?
It's the last thing I pasted in there. Yeah, it's a two-parter. You can see what it looks like at the end, and she even says like at the end, like this is a system that will evolve.
The objects will go in there.
Because if I just do forces and I don't know the math behind it, it's just going to be a bunch of balls clunking into each other, right? And eventually probably... I'm wondering with this
point, go back
with her
into
tutorial, is this
planets.
actually...
And that's just so that you can see...
Is this actually based on rigid body physics? Or is this just simulating? Is this just simulating all that stuff with math, but not actually using the Unity physics system? Because if that's the case, it's actually no good to me, because that would mean I would have to use... I'd have to do the player movement with math as well.
Yeah.
Math that I do not know. Although it's just vector math.
Now, both of these values can be multiplied.
It's just vector math. I can do vector math.
You can do vector art.
Is that a thing? I guess, yeah, it's
What
3D art.
Illustrator is.
Alright, so does that mean 3D art? Okay, here's Goofy King's suggestion. Make like a maze game, easy and simple. Make a maze map and then add an AI and gizmos for the AI. Whenever the AI see you, they try to kill you and you have to survive till the time end. Find the way out, and the player... Blah, 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 blah. Simple. That is simple, but that has nothing to do with deeper and deeper, Goofy King. If anything, you'd be trying to go into the maze, right? I'm not trying to get out, we're trying to go in.
It could be like Labyrinth, where you're trying to get to the center.
Yeah, could be like Labyrinth.
But also, you'd have to make an entire maze.
And David Bowie, and I'm not up to making David Bowie.
Who is, though?
Nobody. I'm up for looking at David Bowie in Labyrinth. And scratching my chin. I loved this movie when I was a kid. This and Beetlejuice were like my fucking shit.
Sarah really likes Labyrinth. It's fine.
It is
Like
so...
you'd think.
Like, I was so young when I first watched it that it's just like, it's one of those movies that I can't even remember the first time I saw it, and I must have watched it dozens and dozens of times when I was a kid.
I remember Beetlejuice being scary, and like watching it later, I'm like, this is a comedy.
Yeah. Beetlejuice was scary. There are definitely scary parts of Beetlejuice, though. Like the sandworms always freaked me out
Yeah.
when I was a kid. Alright, I'm gonna look for one more type of tutorial here. And if I can find something on this. Because we could just do, maybe not a maze, but like caves. What about Unity Infinite Cave Generation?
There are Five Nights at Freddy's novels.
Yeah, yeah. There's a fucking there's a have you heard of that Nick Cage movie that's basically Five Nights at Freddy's but not really? With Nicolas Cage fighting the fucking robots?
Oh, what is the name of that movie? Freddy's Funland, something Funland.
You know what? No. Even though it's easier to type, I refuse to say any Nick Cage. Fuck you, you're Nicholas. Nicolas Cage.
What is the name of that movie?
Willy's Wonderland?
Yeah.
Like, to model my own cave. Could do an underground thing. Like, I don't know. I think anything with the big appeal of space and water was not having to do that, which I imagine could take quite a while.
That would take more than a weekend.
Yes, you're probably right. That's why I was trying to look for something that would procedurally generate it for me, but... I wonder, what are... Is there a name for the type of game that, like a tube racer or something, maybe? Where, like... You know in Sonic 2?
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
okay. So there's games that are all like that. What are those games called?
Are there games that are just the Sonic 2 minigame?
Well, no, but they have that not just the Sonic 2 minigame, but and you can move all around the thing, right? So it's like you're moving around a ring. There was one a couple of years ago.
What is that game? It was on like the Atari, and it was that. Never mind. I can't remember. Doesn't matter.
What would you call that? Tube or...
This video, we're going to take a look.
Remember Sky Roads? Did you ever play Sky Roads?
No. On Atari?
No, it was on the computer. It was like a freeware game when I was in middle school.
I didn't have...
You were probably in middle school as well.
Yeah, I did not have... I did not have a computer that could run anything other than Minesweeper until I was in 9th grade, so...
The computers at school ran it, so you must have been
my grandma had a nice computer, the nice computer that could run games.
When we first got a computer, it had a graphics card in it, and then like I had started playing all these games, and then like months later, my mom was like, "I don't even know how this came about." She's like, "This computer came with a thing that we don't want. I'm taking it out and we're returning it." And it was the graphics card. She took the graphics card out of the computer, and I couldn't play video games anymore.
Jeez. I didn't even know a computer could run without a graphics card.
Yeah, well, I mean, this was like 1998.
Hmm. Fucking, what's that game Jeff Gerstmann's always talking about? Not Polybius. Here's an interesting mechanic called sandballs. Here's somebody making Dig Dug. Let's just do that.
Why is the music so much louder than his voice?
Because he's got 6,000 subscribers.
Are you listening to the Sandballs one?
Yes.
You can see we have
Yeah.
got no vertices.
The music cuts out after like a minute,
Go to our camera and add in the
and then you
script.
realize
We'll
just how
see
So
when
loud
we
in
got
my
started
headphones
starting
because
from
I have
mouse
music
position.
playing and then he's also got
We'll
this.
see what object it hits. So I just did input.get mouse button down. When we get the mouse button down at 0.
From my tutorials, including this one.
Mechanically, I'm thinking this right now.
Description. Now let's get started.
So here's this whole game tutorial, and then I also found I found another tutorial. Do you know the game Monument Valley?
No,
It's on like every phone or everything, so I thought maybe you should.
no, I don't know what it is. What is it?
It
Is
is
it
a.
anything
It is
like
like
the
a.
National Park?
It is basically like an MC Escher painting the game, and it, it relies on those sort of visual illusions, like the staircase thing,
Mm-hmm.
and makes puzzles out of that. But
Okie doke.
so I'm thinking, obviously I can't just steal that mechanic, but that game, it's basically you're walking along a lot of here. Let me YouTube. Or actually, alright, so here's Monument Valley. I'll put it in Discord. That's the actual game. So it's all about sort of turning these knobs on the level to make it like visually align the right way. And I'm not going to use that mechanic or anything, but like I'm thinking of designing a game that looks like that, utilizes the mechanic, the tutorial of like the,
Oh, I like that. I
Yeah.
like that a lot.
yeah, so there's a tutorial for how to basically steal that, but I don't want to just steal that. But what I do want to maybe do,
That's like Portal-esque.
yes, Monument Valley is a really cool looking game. I never played it. I see it for sale all the time on everything, but I never buy it. Yeah, it's
So
very
it's on
neat.
the phone.
Yeah, you can
Oh,
play it on
I kind of want to play it right now.
the phone. I don't know if it's on. I haven't seen it on Android actually. Maybe it's only on Apple. But I don't look for games on my Android phone, honestly. But there's like tutorials for how to, you know, make a game with this sort of like, you know, these sort of slender paths, and like then how to rotate those slender paths. So I thought maybe I can make a game where you're always trying to go down deeper and deeper on a very
Valley 3.
oh yes, it was a popular game, and it came out like 7 years ago. So.
Oh.
um.
Well, maybe the first one's cheap.
But yeah, something where the world design looks like Monument Valley, and the mechanics are turning the world in, you know, rotating the direction from which you get the isometric view, and cutting holes in it to get down, to get deeper and deeper.
What?
I'm saying for Ludum Dare, I think I can combine. I have that whole tutorial, right, which basically shows you how to, you know, turn off collision for a little while to create the illusion of creating a hole. And then I have another tutorial that's, you know, basically a tutorial for how to rip off Monument Valley. And I thought, or basically, no, you don't even think about the second tutorial. Just, I'm thinking about a game that looks like Monument Valley, that has that isometric view, where you can do two things. Walk your guy around in three things, I guess. Walk your guy around in 4 directions. Cut a hole in a wall or a floor, and rotate the camera into a different isometric position, and you're always trying to go down, deeper and deeper. Benefits. It fits with the theme. I think I could do it. You could also do 2D art for this. Because we could just make the guy a sprite.
Do you think you can do the coding for it, though?
For the, I mean, I have that tutorial for the whole thing, right? And all I need to do, I can do the, I can already do the Monument Valley walking around on the ledges and stuff. I guess I don't know how to make your guy not walk off a cliff, but that shouldn't be too hard.
No, well, leave it in.
Actually, I could even go grab the prototype I already have upstairs for the walking around and stuff. And although that I have to undo a bunch of camera stuff for that, so maybe it's just better to start from scratch. You know, I could definitely figure out how to rotate the camera around a point. That shouldn't be too hard. And then the cutting once I have the cutting holes tutorial, unless that relies on some system in Unity. Let's look at that again real quick.
First we will creating a ground, so let's create new quad. Let's change the scale to 10 method. Now our generated 3D hole is scaling as well.
But like
a little bit, first will be ground, second will be.
But so basically, like, this is a 24-minute tutorial. It does not seem to be it seems to be doing it totally from scratch, right? I think.
Also, we will create some drawing animation in there, and let's rename it to
yes,
hole.
It's doing totally from scratch. So all I need to do is copy this tutorial and then figure out how to rotate the object that creates the illusion of the holes or cuts the holes so it can be placed vertically or horizontally. So you can go through walls or floors. Then we make a level that looks like, that looks like Monument Valley. You're going along these skinny paths. It's isometric, and whatever. You have like a gun that shoots holes, and you're trying to, and you can use that to. You get 2 shots or something on each level to get from the top to the bottom. It doesn't have any fun narrative or aliens or anything like that, though. That was the downside. It's just a gamey ass game. But I do think it's like it would be the easiest thing for me to start with, because like doing anything with a mesh is going to be difficult. I could try to do do some vector maths and make a game out of jumping from planet to planet with the alien idea, but I think my entire time with that is going to be fiddling with the maths to figure out how to get everything to orbit right, how to
that does seem like
making a game out of that is going to be, I could maybe do it, but like it's going to leave me with no time to
make a game.
You're
gonna make the sim and then have no time for a game.
To polish it up to a point where we would be able to convey the story part of the alien thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, unfortunately, this is, I think for this one, I'm going to try and just do a purely mechanics focused thing, and I may not even finish on that, but we'll see. Alright, it's midnight and I've decided on an idea.
Alright. That was faster than normal.
No, that's true. I'm gonna go eat something and then decide if I want to try and start on this tonight or go to bed. Nico's got a soccer game tomorrow. What fucking time is that at? Let's wake my fiance up and ask her. It'd be very rude. Maybe I'll work on it tonight, or maybe I'll just sleep. Get a fresh start tomorrow.
I'm free all weekend.
Also, I'm 100% down with just like not doing this the right way and like cramming, not the right way, but the intended way, and cramming it all in. And just doing what I can over the weekend, seeing whether I can get anywhere with it, and then just the old Ludum Dare cheat. You just make a page, you put a link to your game, and oh no, the game won't load.
An updated
mysteriously. Oh, there's a big bug breaking the game, but there's definitely a game that's playable there behind it. Don't you worry about it. I'll fix it. It'll just take me 2 or 3 more days.
We're not doing the compo.
Then,
it's fine.
Yeah, we're not doing the compo. You can still win the jam, though. But the thing is, the thing about cheating like that is it doesn't matter. You don't get anything out of it because you missed the gold rush in the beginning where everyone's looking at games.
Yeah.
Because like after the first 4 days, it really drops off who's willing to look at your game and your score. Like your karma score is already decided. So like it becomes increasingly hard. You have to literally play other people's games and then be like, hey, play mine, please. I wonder if Dave's watching us right now. There's 2 people watching. Are you watching us? You snake?
I am not in.
Yeah.
Your thing, so somebody must be.
Yeah.
Probably Dave.
And it's on Twitch.
Now I am.
Now you are. Let me see if the number goes up.
Oh, no, it says 1.
Maybe it's just a bug on OBS and nobody was there. Or maybe Goofy King is moving back and forth between Twitch and YouTube as he do sometimes.
Goofy King. He's an unpredictable sod.
He is. He, well, not that unpredictable. He does. I'm convinced English is not his first language, especially because he always says, hi Heartlamp, I'm Goofy King. And then just throughout the conversation, I'm Goofy King. And if I was like watching a French streamer and like knew just fragments of French and was trying to communicate with them, I might say, Je suis Chris, like every 2 seconds.
Because that's all the French I know.
Yeah, exactly. I would put my longer ideas, like if you read Goofy King, what he actually said in, for the games, like idea, it reads okay, but it reads a little bit like something someone ran through Babelfish. Alright, time to take a little break and eat food. Decide if I want to continue tonight.
I will go get a drink.
Goofy King says bonjour. You know, you would think, isometric being what it is, there would be more 3D versions of it. On the Unity Asset Store and in tutorials. Everyone who does isometric... Oh wait, here we go.
Okay, so now that our camera is...
Like, even the map parts are 2D?
Yeah, I'm trying to find, I guess, like 3D tiles or something to make the map out of. But then I was thinking, honestly, if you wanted to learn Blender, I can't think of much that would be easier than making a bunch of, you know, like it could even just look like Monument Valley. But then I guess why even model it in Blender? I could just do it in Unity, and you could like just pick the colors.
That's all I've ever really wanted to
Yeah.
do. I mean, let's be fair. That's all graphic design is. Just picking colors.
Yeah.
Picking colors,
I'm a good
making
color
shapes.
picker. That's how I want you to introduce yourself if someone asks you what your career is at a party. I'm a color picker.
Pick the colors.
I'm a word picker. I really am. That's what I did for like fucking 3 hours today. We went over, I can't say the details because God forbid my work ever, you know, find this channel and see what I do in my free time. But like, oh, actually, this looks like it maybe has what I want in there somewhere. God, this is an hour fucking long, though. But like, we were working just in very basic terms. We were working on a document. We found a problem with a document where you could misinterpret a bunch of words to say to determine when an experiment had failed when it actually hadn't. And we talked about you know, how to change the words and how that would affect words in the other documents for quite a while. And that is my job.
I mean, listen, I don't want to sound disparaging, but that sounds super boring.
It is super boring. Most of my job is super boring.
I mean, so is mine, but...
Yeah, but at least you do something semi-creative. There is a very, very minimal amount of creativity at the core of mine in that, but not even really. No, I kind of imagine that both of ours are in the same, somewhat the same realm. No, because you get to actually do graphic design and like, yes, you're tethered by like having to like communicate information to people, but there's a bunch of different ways to do that, and I guess that's true of my thing too. But like in yours, if there's one thing that you think is aesthetically better, that doesn't compromise information, you get to pick that. In my thing, it's like the thing that is the most clear always has to be the thing we pick, and that's what we're gonna talk about for 50 minutes.
That hurts.
But like in my old job, I actually got to do more. I was all like, just because of the bullpen nature of the workplace and the, fucking just take as many contracts as we can, even if we can't fucking figure out, if we don't have the staff to do them and we'll figure it out later bullshit. We're always like, oh, you can code? Fucking get in here. You're doing this shit. You're fucking coding for this robot now. You get to play with a robot today.
Turns out that robot killed 3 people.
No, it would definitely fuck you. It could actually definitely kill you if you stuck your head in it when it was on. Because it's not like, it's a pipetting robot. And it has a giant... It's more like a machine than a robot, I guess. But it's definitely technically a robot. But it looks more just like, a miniature assembly line that puts like liquids onto a plate, basically. But it has a big arm that moves back and forth, and if you put your head in there and it tried to go down, it would definitely crush your skull. Not crush completely, like kill you, but you'd probably crack your skull and get some pretty bad brain damage.
Like whenever I think of robot in the modern sense, it is like the 3-jointed arm with giant, like 3-pronged hand.
Yeah, like the robot that you drew for Jackbox last time we played.
Yeah. Well, no, just the arm bit.
Oh, okay.
Like the hangy, like the automotive robot.
Yeah. Like probably not the first thing I would find if I typed in Boston Dynamics on
No,
YouTube, but
you'd get that silly dog.
nice. Yeah. Silly. You mean fucking terrifying?
Yeah. Also that.
The thing is not... Yeah,
In
I'm
this
not a
video,
fan.
you'll learn how to create.
There's a symbol at work. It's
going to affect.
it's like don't stick your hand in the robot. But yeah. But it looks like a guy trying to arm wrestle a robot, and it is my favorite thing. Like I want to sneak in like a print that is just like I want to make the label like do not arm wrestle the robot.
I mean, are they really... Wait, so do you actually print the signs at your work?
Yeah.
I know you've explained it to me before, but
we do everything.
okay, that's
there.
what so would they really miss one print of a sign?
Well, okay. Well, see, the thing is, I can make the design, I can put in the work order, but once it gets printed, like I have to like be cool and intercept it before it gets like before somebody says like, "Hey, wait a minute, this isn't going anywhere."
There's never a situation where your boss is like, "We have too many blank signs. Someone
No.
take these home." Or like,
Well, I mean,
You can't tell me no one's ever asked about making a sign.
no, no, I, yeah, yeah, I could, yeah, actually, yes, I could totally do that.
You should
For
do
sure.
it. You should do it. And then make 2 prints and I'll put one behind me on my stream. Don't arm wrestle the robot. Oh no, I'll give it to Bruce and I'll have him take it into Alliance. And I mean, there's probably a million companies with that word in it. But I'd have him bring it in and put it next to the robot.
I like this little painting.
What little painting?
The Donkey Kong painting.
Yes, I love that painting. Oh, now I have 2 in one of my channels. In YouTube, I have 2 though. But I found that. Yeah, I forget what I was looking for, but it popped up like while I was looking for pixel art or something, and I was like, this is like the perfect thing to put in the background of the stream because it's the 2 things I like, art and video games, all in one very emblematic image. And also, you would not notice that it was Donkey Kong right away. Like, had I not been searching for pixel art when I found it, I would not have thought, oh, Donkey Kong. At least not immediately. Maybe when I saw the monkey at the top or the hammer.
I mean, when I, like,
the composition.
The first time I saw it, I knew it was Donkey Kong.
Yeah, I could see you thinking that because the composition is. If you half focus your eyes, it definitely. Like if you blur your eyes, it literally looks like it could be the actual game. But like to me, seeing all the little splotchy paint marks and stuff, I just read it as like, oh, it's like some fucking, impressionist piece of art. I am getting quieter on my actual mic too. That's interesting. Okay. Weird.
Sound the same to me on Discord.
Well, my levels are like lower than where they normally are at on my thing.
Do you think that's digital art, or do you think that's real?
The Donkey Kong thing? I think somebody actually painted that.
Yeah, I do too.
Hold on. Let me look real close at it here. I guess it could be either, but what do you think, Goofy King? Did somebody make this with a program? You're worldly, or you're a tech savvy man. Did somebody make this Donkey Kong picture with a program, or did they draw it by hand? The only thing that makes me think maybe it is a program is like, well, I guess they could have just painted the canvas black. And I do see
the colors. The colors are very bright, but you could manipulate that after once you uploaded it.
I was gonna say
Can you react to Mad Lucas Brutus?
What do you mean react to it?
I just learned to hate Goofy King.
Goofy King, what do you mean react to it? Like, we made that song. That's my reaction.
What is my reaction to a song that I wrote? I wrote it.
Yeah.
I wrote it, and now I feel bad about it. The end.
See what I mean? See what I mean, though? Like, just like, I feel like Goofy King, I don't want to speculate, because I don't want Goofy King to answer these questions ever, and if he does, he's banned from my chat.
I want to know so much about Goofy King. He's in like this weird omnipresent ghost that haunts us.
Yes, but like the language he uses is really the most intriguing thing about him, because like he's either he's 15 and doesn't speak English, or has very bad language faculties with English if he's 15, or is younger than he's saying he is, because like I feel like everything he says is just a slight mishmash of like sort of like what he actually wants to say and like internet buzzwords, right? So he just like which makes me think he's like some 15-year-old like whatever Croatian kid.
Have you ever considered he's a very sophisticated AI?
That would be built. If he was, he would be built by Blender. Blender became sentient because he's always telling me to go on Blender. There he goes again.
Stream Blender, TM.
Yes. Until I finally do it. Man, I bet that someone has done that though, right? Like made a chat robot to. I bet you if I went to YouTube even right now, I bet you I could find something that's like, I made a chat robot to harass streamers.
If I knew how to make a chat robot, I would just be real subtle about it.
I mean, if you're doing, unless you're in a channel with nobody in it, like mine, like there's, it's probably easy to get away with in a crowd, basically. I made a chat robot AI to harass streamers.
Art lamp.
Intelligent AI chatbot in Python. I feel like I've actually seen this before. Another thing, like Unity has too, like I saw a video about how basically anyone can do it too, is like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like when an AI learns, like you feed it a bunch of shit and it learns. Not a neural network.
Machine learning?
Machine learning, yes, machine learning. Like I saw a tutorial on basically like how to, like you have to make the original AI, like you have to tell it what it can do, but then you feed it a bunch of, Unity has like an interface for like making it learn how to do those things. Not Unity, but like somebody who probably made the, what do you call it, API for this thing, but
I think Skynet will be a mistake.
Like
somebody will eventually invent Skynet and they'll be like, whoops,
there is a Skynet. I was just going to say, I forgot until, and then remembered as you were saying it. When you said that, I was like, oh yeah, Terminator Skynet, haha, it's going to be real, but it is. Somebody's really making a Skynet, I think. Skynet is real.
I wish people would learn lessons from movies.
Skynet is a program by the U.S. National Security Agency that performs machine learning analysis on communication data to extract information about possible terror suspects right now.
Oh, and they named it Skynet.
Yes, they named it after fucking the
Terminator.
The Terminator movie, yes. Yup.
Wow.
They're just asking for
how little self-awareness must you need?
Yeah, exactly. There's a joke in there about the machine becoming aware and how little our self-awareness is. I'll let you figure that one out for yourself.
Yeah. I'm laughing all the way to the grave.
Yes. Well, we won't probably be alive to see that. My kids will, though. It makes me sad that my kids will see that before they'll see, like, you know, any meaningful move away from the capitalist hellscape economic situation that they're going to grow up in, and climate change, like before they see any meaningful good changes on that, they'll see an AI that's doing some fucked up shit. That's my prediction for my kids' lives.
Like an AI judge. That is my maybe biggest fear that I just realized.
It's a pretty good fear. I hadn't considered it, but maybe now I'll be terrified of that. I won't have to live with it.
No, me neither. But
although, could you even? I mean, you could make one, but could you make a real one? Could you make one that actually you could program an artificial punishment machine, right? Like you just program your values into it.
You could. I mean, you could.
Allow me machine learning to get to a point where
you could program every judgment that's ever been made throughout history, basically.
You could, and then you could, like, what I'm saying is, yes, you could do that, and yes, you could feed that into a AI.
I mean, you only have to go by Supreme Court, basically.
Yeah.
You could even narrow it down.
Yeah, I mean, you could program in a bunch of variables and all this. You could make a program that considers the like the sort of the moral, I guess, axioms that the Supreme Court would use to judge a case, or the moral axioms and like the real life ramifications, and then you could feed all their decisions into it and see what the AI comes out with, or just legal cases from all around the country or whatever. But like, I feel like unless we have achieved actual sentience for the AI that's doing that, like it is actually self-aware in the same way it has achieved like actual personhood, then it's not really judging. Like maybe this is like a semantic difference, but like it's
no, I agree, but it wouldn't matter for the people who are making the robot. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you're right.
The government would replace judges with a robot if they could.
You think? Because like, well, maybe. I guess the thing there would be like, I feel like the real impetus behind most robotics technology is, just like efficiency and like cost saving measures. But with AI, I don't know. I don't
think anybody knows what they want AI to do.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I just don't know if
maybe we can make a computer think. That'd be fun.
I just don't know if the people who would have this sort of authority to do that, some of whom may have been judges themselves at a point, would want to remove that lever of power, unless maybe short-sightedly they were like, well, I'm on top now, and like I'm gonna be above the robots, right? And then there will be no other younger judges to come up and usurp me. There will just be.
Judges don't get to decide who gets to be judges.
I'm saying the types of people who become judges are often the types of people who become politicians that craft the legislation.
Mostly judges are politicians.
Yeah, but like I'm saying, yeah, a lot of politicians are former judges, so I don't know what they're like. And among that class of people, I don't know like what the zeitgeist around using AI to replace them as a class of people, replace their role.
Oh, I'm not saying it's a real thing. I'm just. Yeah.
I like considering it as a real thing. Like, what if, could that actually happen?
Well, it's Yeah, it's devil's advocate. So
Indeed.
yeah, we'd all be fucked.
Or do you think it would be like, well, if you made it good enough, right? Why, like, if the maybe I'm like, you know, this
The
is
programmers would be the new judges.
yeah, basically. But like, if you could get it to pass the Turing test, you know, the Supreme Court Turing test, like, can you tell the difference between this robot and the Supreme Court? Like,
Robot v. Wade.
like, is it really at that point, like, it might actually be less dangerous than an actual sentient AI who could decide that maybe the rules should change. What do you think about Goofy King? What do I think about Goofy King AI? I think you are an AI, Goofy King. He's pissed. Look at how angry he is.
I'm so mad you didn't laugh at Robot v. Wade.
I didn't hear that. I'm sorry. That was abortion, right? I was gonna try and make an abortion joke, robot abortion joke off that, but let's see. Okay, how do robots have babies? These floppy disks. What's like a floppy disk? What's the robot version of contraceptive?
Firewall?
Firewall.
I guess.
Robo women should have the right to choose, or they make it into like a healthcare thing. I can't think of a robot abortion joke. I'm a failure. All right, I should get
Shovelware. Shovelware. There's gotta be some sort of
shovelware. Wait, well, shovelware is what? Shovelware is like
the cheap video games that.
Oh yeah.
Just make a bit of money that don't give a shit about. I don't think it exists anymore because video games are apparently like.
Now they're just asset
Popular.
flips, right? Now that market has been taken up by people who just shovel out.
Who love their money.
Do you know who Jim Sterling is?
I do know who Jim Sterling is.
Did you see one of his recent videos about that shovelware developer who sued him? Not
No.
shovelware, asset flip developer.
I haven't. I watched Jim Sterling a long time ago and got sick of him.
He's trans now.
Yeah, I know.
I can see
I
getting
got sick of him before that. I don't want to sound like some fucking bigot.
Yeah. Well, that happened like 2 weeks ago.
I got sick of him because of his views, not because of his sexuality.
Because of his views? I thought he was relatively, like, progressive or something. I don't really know that much about his politics.
Yeah,
I know he's friends with a lot of the...
I got fucking sick of it.
Yeah.
Like, I got the message, and I'm like, okay, Jim, I get it. Now I'm done.
Yeah.
I understand. The end.
I figured he was at least left-leaning because he was on Big Joel's Mario charity thing.
I do like Jim Sterling, though. I like him a lot. I think he's one of the better video game personalities.
Yeah, I mean, to me, he's like the best version of something like a Zero Punctuation, kinda.
Yeah, exactly. They were actually on. They were both on the Escapist for a while. I assume that Zero Punctuation is still on the Escapist, and that's the only thing they have going for them.
Well, I mean, what was I saying at the beginning of this? No, even if you know, there's no politics in it. I highly recommend watching the video if you want to just see some funny asset flip shovelware garbage that's some crazy weird that's made by like some guy who's like his own weird shell corporation, and he keeps making video games that like they're definitely asset flips, and he like just cobbles together, and he comes out with one every year, and they always make it onto like really big
Is it the
platforms.
Slaughtering Grounds guy?
I forget. I'll look it up.
Because he got sued by another guy. Maybe it's the same guy. I don't know. There was this dude who made a game called The Slaughtering Ground, and like Jim made a video like trashing him on it, and he sued him. And
he did say, and it wasn't that one, because in this one he's like, I've been through this a million times before. Like his whole thing was like, this little fucking punk.
Digital Homicide. Digital Homicide. That's
yeah,
the guy.
That was the original. That was.
Yeah.
So quite a few people have noticed buying themselves. Anyway, if you go.
Oh no, this is not this. This one came out like a month ago, and he made mention in this video.
This was years ago. The first
that's what I mean. Like the whole tone of this new one was like, I'm a fucking pro at this. This little pissant guy thinks he can sue me. Like everybody's tried to sue me. They never succeed.
Because you can't sue a person for saying a bad thing about you.
He does mention though, like the guy did manage to get his YouTube taken down, and he's like, well, mine got put up because I'm real.
Do that. I could do that to anybody.
Right, that's his whole point. Like, it's really easy to take down a YouTube channel, way easier than it should be, is sort of like the ending thesis of the thing. He's like, look, I make a lot of money, so I could survive this because I can reach out to someone at YouTube and have them turn my channel back on, but anyone who would be smaller and have this happen to them would not be able to do that. So it's like, if you're smaller, you really take a risk by criticizing even the most shitty of games that we all should agree are just trash shoveled out there to make money off of gullible people.
Oh, I'm glad you're watching Jim Sterling.
Yeah, I mean, I saw him a couple times on I saw him on a couple other people that I watch his thing. Did you ever watch the Yogscast back in the day?
Yeah.
Do you so I've been watching this, the main guy I've been watching lately and this is like, it's almost like old school that I'm even watching just a guy play video games that's not like, you know, Giant Bomb or like politics related. And like, so Thought Slime said one of the funniest guys he's ever seen play video games was this guy Northern Lion, who is a Canadian streamer. So I started watching him a little bit. He's pretty funny. And every once in a while he has his friends on playing whatever. They were playing Siege the other day. That's what made me think of it. And one of the voices just sounded so familiar, and I'd heard it a few times in a few of his other streams with friends.
Was it Simon?
It was Sips.
Oh, the other guy.
It was
the boring guy.
Not the American guy. Not the two main guys, like the third in line guy who was like the very next, probably biggest figure on the channel.
I don't know if I watched that far.
He did, yeah. I mean, you saw what was the Yogscast's big long
Minecraft. Yogscast was Minecraft when I was watching it.
But the name of their like story series that they did, that long running, many episodes long, like, you know, they would pretend.
I don't remember. Refresh my memory.
Yeah, I'll look it up.
The fucking piece of shit.
Let's see. God, they have to have so much.
Lewis That was the other one.
Lewis and Simon. Dave and Marcus had a theory that the heavier one developed a drug dependency. That's why he started dropping out. Like, and maybe it's just like me seeing it, but like as they were pointing it out back in the day, it really seemed very plausible because he'd like come and go, and
I just don't think he give. I don't think he gave a shit. He's just some fat guy playing Minecraft.
I don't even know what to type in to find this.
Yeah. How do you find a decades old Minecraft video?
Yeah.
Out of there are probably a billion Minecraft videos.
Especially
literally a billion.
Yeah.
I'm not even.
They're Minecraft related. Yogscast is also still fucking going. Look, 4 months ago. Here. There's Simon nowadays. Or Lewis. I did always something I remember that I just like a gag that got funnier and funnier was that every time Minecraft came out with a new update, and it was always something like, you know, I don't know, water flows through this rock now and this rock. It was like always a very small change, and they'd always go, it's a whole new game. Like at the end of every update video they did. I always thought that was funny. Shadow of Israfel.
Yep.
There it is.
Yep.
I knew it had a fantasy.
The one video where they explained it, and they're like, we have all our friends playing the NPCs.
Yeah.
That really makes up for my home being destroyed. Thanks. It's great.
Oh god, it's getting dark. We can't really...
Sips probably played quite a few NPCs in this.
Oh my
what do you
god.
suggest?
I see what you mean about this hole.
I know. What the heck?
Was there ever a point in Shadow of Israfel, though, where the NPCs talked actually on the mic?
What did he mean about the sky?
I don't think so.
Fire. Well, it's not that.
I mean,
Earth. It's just sort of monsters.
Again,
It seems that they do.
a decade ago.
Sorry, Lysander. Why would you attack Lysander like that?
No, it might always just be these two.
I got a bit put off by the cobweb. Okay, let's get the hell out of here. How do we get out of this fucking hole?
I don't know.
Success.
We make a map.
So that's it. The map fragment is. Hooray! Well, no, hang on.
Oh, kids. I do not have your buffer. On the table, I believe, or I don't know. I should go to bed. What time is his game tomorrow? 10 o'clock.
So apparently we're coming to your house next week, and
right on. Actually, I was gonna have Lauren text you guys and say, Mike was saying he had a bunch of days off, and he might have. I invited him to come up too. So
yeah.
Do you want to I don't know, but he was then, I invited him the weekend you guys came, but then he was like, I want to get my second shot first, it's coming up here. And then we sort of dropped it, but I was going to say if we can get everyone to come down, that would be preferable. Not that, so, but I guess what I'm asking is, would you guys be willing to put it off another week if it meant Mike could come? If Mike promised he could come, would you want to do the?
I'll do whatever. I don't.
Yeah. Same for me. Although it doesn't matter to me actually at all. There will be a weekend in which my dad is getting like a break from his chemo, like his doc, because he's about to go into stem cell, which like is. Not, the odds are in his favor, but it could kill him. So they give him like a little break before they start. Anyway, I should go to bed. Lauren is stomping around because the kids are being a pain in the ass, and I should help with that and be ready for soccer tomorrow. So peace out.
Okie dokie. So long.
Later. Goodbye, Goofy King. See you later, buddy.
You kings of Maine.
Yeah.